Hey, Nate Miller here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's a beautiful day here in Arkansas, and I have some exciting things to go over today. I'm very excited to answer several questions. Got really good questions that people have submitted. I can't wait to go over those. I want to talk a little bit about my book giveaway, and I want to tell you a little story about an adventure I went on last weekend. So I'm going to wait just a second here and let a few people get logged on. People are joining as we speak. So if you are joining, if you're watching this live, welcome. And if you're watching it by replay, thanks for watching this on replay. If you wouldn't mind, just put in your comments whether you're watching live right now or if you're watching this on replay, just put in the comments where you're watching from. I always like to see where people are watching from. Some very interesting places around the world people watch from. So please do that if you don't mind. And I'll tell you what, let's get going. I'm ready. Let me officially welcome you to my Level 10 live stream question and answer session. This is live and interactive. I have some questions that people have submitted, some issues that they're having that they've submitted prior to. They wanted to remain anonymous, so I'm going to respect that. But at any time, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, any issues, anything that you would like me to personally coach you on, or if something that I talk about causes you to, rings a bell and you want me to answer, I would be more than welcome to do that. All you have to do is drop your question or comment in the comment section. And if you're watching this by replay and you have a question that you would like to ask, just drop that in the comment section too. I'll loop back around and I'll look at these comments and I will always come back and answer any questions, even if you're watching this on the replay. All right, let me tell you about my book giveaway. I had the privilege of co-authoring a book with Brian Tracy in 2002. It's called The Secret to Winning Big. We hit 5 bestseller lists with this. And I am giving a copy of this book away to anyone that tags a friend in the comment section. So all you have to do to be entered in to win a hard copy of my book that I will sign, personalized sign, and send to you free of charge at my cost. All you have to do is tag a friend that you think needs to hear some of these things or just needs a little boost or would be interested in what we're talking about today. That's all you have to do is tag a friend. All right, I got everything ready. I think I've covered everything. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from individuals that have watched these and joined and really have had the opportunity to really help people and have some people really help me with some of their feedback. So it's been a great experience and I appreciate you taking the time today to jump on and watch it. And hopefully I can help you with any issue that you're having as well. So I have 4 questions here that were submitted prior to. I'm going to go through these. There's some pretty complex questions, some of them, and I have some pretty complex answers. And, when I just get these questions submitted via email or via messenger, sometimes I really don't have the whole background, but that's positive in a way because I can approach it from several different angles. So if you're watching this and you've asked one of these questions and I don't answer it to your satisfaction, shoot me another email, another message, post in the comments, and I will be happy to clarify. Okay, first question here. I am stuck in a rut. What are some suggestions to get back on track? I think this is something that's common, something we all deal with at one point in time or another. I was just having a webinar earlier where we were discussing this issue. And it's easy to get caught up in the minutiae of everything that you have to handle in a day's time. It's easy to get wrapped up in all the tasks that you have to accomplish. And sometimes because of that, we get so wrapped up in tasks that we lose sight of the big picture. Or sometimes we can just be going through a creative rut. Or sometimes we can just work too hard, have mental fatigue, and burn ourselves out. There's lots of reasons why we reach these points where we feel like we're in a rut and we're having a hard time getting out. The first thing that I recommend that you do is to really gain clarity on what you want to accomplish and really think about start with the end in mind. There's a famous quote by Yogi Berra that says, if you don't know where you're going, you may end up somewhere else. I'm butchering the quote, but you get the point. And that's true. Sometimes we just get so caught up in, okay, I've got to go do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to be action oriented, I got to accomplish things, that we kind of spin our wheels and we don't really accomplish anything of any significance. We're just going through doing small tasks. So the first thing to do is get good clarity about what you want to accomplish. And I popped in the comment section here below a link to my weekly accelerator method. This is a great method where you sit down once a week, you ask yourself 20 questions, and it really helps you go through the funnel and narrow down what's important to you and what you need to accomplish. So the first thing is get good clarity about what you want to accomplish. Take time out, get uninterrupted, free time where you can really think. What we do when we get in these ruts sometimes too is we get overwhelmed and we feel like we have so much to accomplish that we just work, and we don't take the time to really sit down and think and plan out what we want to accomplish. And by doing that, we have all these thoughts going around in our head. We have all this mental energy that we're burning, that we're expending, that we could be putting towards accomplishing our goals, and also freeing up our creativity to really think about what we want to accomplish. So gain that clarity is number one. Number two is think about things in a 2-week period. So if you have a major goal that you want to accomplish, you want to achieve this big project, and maybe something that takes 6 to 9 months, don't think about the end goal as far as what you're going to do on a daily basis. Know your end goal, have great clarity about that, but then from your project, I want you to sit down and write out every task, everything that needs to be accomplished to accomplish that larger goal. And so let's just say I want to make up something that we've probably all dealt with at one time or another. Say I want to lose 20 pounds and I want to do this in 6 months. Well, we're not going to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks, but you can write down all the tasks that you want to accomplish to be able to lose weight. So the first is, create a shopping list, grocery shopping list. Second thing is create a daily planner. Third thing is create a daily food journal. Fourth thing could be create an exercise log. Fifth thing could be, research and study, which would probably be the first thing. I just thought of this off the top of my head. Research and get to know all the positive diet options, so you really research and know which diet plan you want to choose. And so what you do is you get the point. You just go through and you create all these tasks that you need to have accomplished to accomplish the major goal. And then you prioritize those and you think about a 2-week sprint. So you take, let's say you come up with 20 tasks. You think about the 4 or 5 tasks that this time depending on your goal. It could be 4 or 5 tasks, it could be 10 tasks that you can accomplish in a 2-week period of time. But think about the tasks that you can accomplish in a 2-week period of time, and then you plug in those tasks on that goal each day. So you may have 3 major goals that you're working on. You create all your tasks for those 3 major goals, and then you plug in, okay, what is going to get me the biggest bang? What's the highest priority things that I can do out of these tasks? And you plan them for a 2-week period. So Monday, I'm going to accomplish this task, this task, this task, this task. Tuesday, this task, and you complete for a 2-week period. That way, you can go through, you have your time planned, you have clarity about what you're wanting to accomplish, you have everything planned out. So you go through and you can say, okay, from 10 to from 10 to 11, this is what I'm going to be doing. When it gets to 11, here's what I'm going to be doing. You check that off, you check that off, you check that off. When you get this level of clarity and focus, you will be amazed at what you can accomplish. You will accomplish more, I promise you, in a 2-week period than you probably accomplished in the last 2 months. When you get clarity and focus like that, it's amazing. This will help you get out of a rut. Another thing that you can do, I've talked about before, is, sometimes we just get in this creative rut. So change things up. One thing that Tony Robbins talks a lot about is getting up and physically moving, getting in motion. That creates forward momentum. So just get up and walk around as you're thinking. If you have some employee that you want to meet with, instead of going and sitting in their office, say, hey, let's go walk out in the parking lot and talk about this issue, or walking trail, or, I've even taken my team before to the bowling alley, and we had a meeting at a bowling alley, just changing things up. We've gone to a lake at a picnic area and had meetings, all different kinds of things that you can do that just get you out of your normal routine and your normal monotony. That will help free up your creativity and help you create that positive momentum forward. There was another thought that I had. Another thing I touched on a little bit earlier is the mental fatigue. When we don't have good clarity and we're really trying to think about what we need to accomplish, that takes up a lot of mental energy. Let's say that you have 5 big projects that you're working on, or 5 big goals, and you don't really have any clarity about, and you haven't organized your time and how you want to spend it. It's very overwhelming, and you'll think, okay, I need to do this. And so you'll do that, and then you'll get done and you'll go, okay, what can I do next? I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. What can I do? So you spend all this mental energy thinking about what to do next when you should have it planned out. And also what we do when we don't plan our time well is we migrate towards things that are comfortable for us, things that we find easy to do. And we avoid the hard things that might be the things that bring us the biggest bang for our buck, the biggest improvement. And when you do this, when you plan your time, you get clarity, you get focus, and you go down your list, you'll start creating lists. You'll start creating victories, which will start creating momentum, which will propel you forward. So that is how you get out of a rut. All right, number 2. My team is struggling with a change in corporate philosophy. How can I help improve morale during the change? Very good question. Something that I've answered here before, something similar anyway. And I have had the opportunity to go through a corporate, I've actually worked for an organization that was bought by another organization, and that organization, brought in their own company culture. They brought in their own goals, focus, things that they thought were priorities. And it was a big culture shift for our organization, and it created a lot of morale problems. So I'm familiar with this, and in this day and age, it's going to be hard to work for an organization that doesn't have some kind of culture shift, some kind of change, some kind of repurposing, or focusing. Okay, we were focusing real hard on this product, now we're shifting and finding that this product is more valuable to spend our efforts on. It's just going to happen, and people have to deal with change. So the first thing that you have to think about is people do not like change. You need to understand that. We feel like we want change. We feel like sometimes change is exciting, new things are coming. Even if we know this change is going to be positive, there is still that element of fear of, okay, if we change things the way we've done it, it could be better, but what's the flip side? It could be worse. It could be a disaster. It could be horrible. So our mind goes to all these areas where things could be worse. We fear the unknown, and as much as we don't want to admit it, we are absolute creatures of comfort, creatures of habit. So think about if you go to church. Do you typically sit in a different seat each time you go to church? Typically you sit in about the same area, about the same seat. Think about when you go to the movies. Do you typically sit in a different area each time, or do you typically sit in about the same area? Think about going to a restaurant. How many times have you gone to a restaurant? They have, millions of different options, and you end up ordering the same thing that you ordered last time, which was the same thing as the time before and the time before. We're just creatures of habit. That's the way we're made. So the first thing that you have to do is really understand this with people, is that even though a change in corporate philosophy, a change in your organization could be very positive, it could lead to better things, more success for your organization, which in turn could lead to more success for your employees. People still fear this. So you need to understand that and validate it. This is a mistake I've seen people make when an organization is going through change, and they're kind of expressing some of their anxiety to their supervisors. Their supervisor says, this is just the way it's going to be. It's just the way you need to suck it up and just deal with it. There's nothing I can do about it. That's not the approach you need to take, because that immediately puts that employee on the defensive, and you're also putting that employee in a position where they're really going to fight to validate their thoughts and experience. And so they're just going to dig in deeper, and they're just going to talk about how the change is horrible even that much more. But when you validate this with the employees, when you come at it from an angle of empathy and say, listen, I know this is a big change. I know this is a lot. It's a lot for all of us. I appreciate your positive attitude. We understand that this change is going to be different. Things may really be different than the way we've done it before, but we feel like it's going to be a positive. And then here's a technique that you probably don't hear a lot is, and for different personalities, I won't get into this, but just try this because this really is effective with some personalities. Validate that that there's the potential for things to be bad. So you say, when you're having that conversation, you say, and I understand, things could be worse. We might lose sales, we might lose customers, we might lose employees. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but those things are possibilities, because some people, they have to know that you've thought about all of the negative consequences that could happen. And when they understand that you understand that this is a possibility, that these negative things could happen, it puts them at ease. Because if you don't, with certain personalities, they're going to say, oh, but we could lose customers, we could lose employees, our sales could decline, we could, never recover from it. Some people's personalities just go to that bad place, and once you validate that and say, yes, those are all things that could happen, they feel at ease because they know you understand that. So try that technique too. But a big thing that you need to do if you're leading a team that's going through change is just be there for your employees. Don't hide away in your office. Don't avoid them. Go out and talk to them on a daily basis. Let them see that you're there for them. Be very visible. Offer them any support that you can. Ask them, is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything that you need to help, that I could do that could help you do your job better? Tell them, go out and, find things that they're doing well and compliment them on it. If you have employees that are really doing well and not struggling with the change, really highlight them. Say, I really appreciate you, John. You've really stepped up. We're going through a change here and it's been tough for everybody, but you've had a great attitude and I want you to know I really appreciate that. Pick people out that are really doing well with the change and highlight those individuals. Also, really support and be there for the people that are having difficulty. This is the best way that you can take your organization through a change. It's tough, but most organizations that go through it, it's something that they end up on the other side and they're better for it. And I've also seen, employees, I've seen this several times going through a change. I'm an operational turnaround consultant. I've gone into to organizations where change needed to happen. We made the change and some employees left. They didn't like the way that the direction of the new organization, and they just felt like it wasn't a good fit for them anymore, and they left. So that's another thing that can happen. Usually it's not your best employees, so usually it's employees that probably need to go work somewhere else. So just keep that in mind too. Organizations go through change, but that's a great way to handle it. It's not all inclusive. That's just my thoughts off the top of my head. All right, number 3. Ripping right through these. Let me look at the comments, make sure nobody has any comments. All right, we're good. I have an employee that tells me he would like feedback, yet every time I provide it, he gets mad and defensive. How should I handle this? Great question. I've dealt with this myself. As a matter of fact, if an employee tells me that they love feedback and they welcome feedback, those are the people that I'm a little leery of initially in providing feedback. So the first thing, if an employee tells me that they would like feedback, when they initially share that with me, I talk about how they would like to receive that feedback, how often they would like to receive that feedback, what's the best way to provide them that feedback, what do they want feedback about. Try to get as much clarity up front as you can, because when somebody says, oh, I want feedback, they just might want feedback in how they're handling one certain aspect of their job. Like, they might be thinking, oh, I want feedback, but I only want feedback on my telephone skills or my customer service skills or something like that. And you talk about other things, and in their mind, you're not providing the feedback that they want. So get that clarity up front on the feedback loop there that they would like to receive. And the second thing would be, whenever I initially provided that feedback, I would really ask questions like, John, I noticed that you're coming in a couple of minutes late each day. You wanted me to provide you some feedback, so I think it would really benefit the team if you could get here on time, And then just say, is that feedback okay? Is that what you're requesting? Is that what you're talking about? And then you can get some clarity there, because that might not be the feedback that they had in their mind, even though it's the feedback they need to get. And they might just say, yeah, okay, and then get really angry about that. So really talk through any feedback issues. And ultimately, if you have an employee that when you try to provide feedback, they get angry or defensive, you need to call that out immediately and, use statements like, listen, John, you asked me to provide you feedback. I'm here providing you feedback, and any feedback that I give you today and previous examples, if you have them, you got very angry and defensive. So when you tell me that you want feedback, I really don't feel like that you do. Just call them out on it. Some people don't know how to handle being called out, and just be real honest, blunt, open, and straight to the point. Leave emotions out of it. Don't say, oh, that makes me angry. You've asked me to give you feedback, and I give you feedback, and you get mad at me. That makes me mad. I don't understand. Leave emotion out of it. Just be very, very matter of fact. And share that. Another way that I like to approach feedback with individuals too is go to them and say, if I saw a way that you can improve your job, or I saw something that you needed to improve upon, would you want me to tell you? And we all feel like, yeah, if I could do my job better, I want somebody to tell me. You will have, believe it or not, there'll be people that say, no, I'm good. I don't need anything. Extremely rare. Most people say, yeah, if I'm doing something wrong, I would like for you to tell me about it. And then you could, share your experience with them, or share what they need to improve upon. That's one thing. And I use this a lot with managers. If you have a manager that does not want to provide feedback to their employees, I will say, listen, if you were doing something that needed to improve, would you want me to tell you about it? Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say, well, then why don't you do that with your employees? So that's just another little level there about feedback. But, if somebody gets to where you have trouble giving them feedback without them becoming angry or frustrated, I would really start the performance process with them, because that's not an appropriate thing for an employee to do, whether they tell you they want feedback or not. Start your performance and performance management, go through whatever, write-ups or warnings, whatever system that you have, and really also take advantage of your performance appraisal, whatever performance evaluation you do on an annual basis, to really talk to those employees about that. But let me tell you, don't let that be the first place that you talk about an issue with an employee. Don't act like everything's fine with that employee and that there's no issue with giving them feedback, and then they get to their evaluation and you say, I really have a problem with you, you won't take feedback. The evaluation process is not the first time somebody should hear about any issue. It should already have been addressed before. So make sure that you don't save everything up for the evaluation process. Okay, I'm getting a little further into what the question actually was, but that's how I would handle an employee that has issues with feedback. All right, last question I have that was submitted. I have a lot of projects I'm working on. I'm getting overwhelmed and feel like I'm not making any progress. Is there a good way to deal with this problem, or am I just going to always feel like this? I think this really goes hand in hand with the first question, and a lot of the answer to the first question could really help the fourth question, because what happens when people get in a rut and people get overwhelmed, it's very similar things. What happens when people get overwhelmed is they can't see the forest for the trees. So they have so many things going on that they don't even know where to start. And they always feel like they're juggling, and they have, 3 balls in the air, and they're having trouble keeping the 3 balls in the air. And then somebody throws a 4th ball, and now they're trying to keep 4 balls. And then somebody throws the 5th ball. And then all they're focused on after a while is keeping those balls up in the air. And they can't focus on anything else, and it's very overwhelming, and all you're focusing on is keeping those balls up in the air. And that leads to a lot of mediocre performance, because people can't really focus on what they need to focus on. So same type of answer. Really get clarity, take the time, even though you feel like you need to be, creating action, creating momentum, moving forward. Take the time to sit down and get clarity on what it is you want to accomplish. Then prioritize and then tackle it. Put things down into tasks, put things into a 2-week sprint, and then just start ticking off those tasks. That's the best way to overcome overwhelm. Same type of scenario. It's easy to get sucked into the minutia and the monotony of a job. And if you don't have that clarity, then you can become very easily overwhelmed. And another technique that is really good if you're overwhelmed and you have, you've gained your clarity, you know what you want to accomplish, that's the very first thing, is to use a technique called Kaizen. And I don't want to get too deep into Kaizen, but Kaizen is a method of taking very small steps. It's kind of an Oriental philosophy of the step, the journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first step. So what some people do, if you've seen the Pomodoro method or timers or stuff, they'll set timers, say, okay, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't even know where to begin. All right, I can't think about, my mind can't handle the big overwhelming thing that I have to accomplish. So I'm going to break it down into the smallest element, and I'm just going to focus on this small element. And I'm going to do it for 30 minutes. So you set a 30-minute timer and you focus on that task for 30 minutes. And then you've accomplished something and you're not worried about, let's say your goal is to sell 100 computers by the end of the month. You focus not on selling 100 computers, you focus on selling that first computer. So really break it down into the small steps. That way, it's been proven, lots of research about this, that if you can break it down into small steps, it helps you really rein in that overwhelm and helps you focus and get a lot of positive momentum. So you want to have a lot of victories and a lot of momentum moving forward. So that is how you conquer overwhelm. Go back, if you're just now joining, go back and listen, if this was your question, to the first answer that I gave about how to get out of a rut. Very similar. You want to have clarity, you want to break it down into smaller tasks, plan it, and then that way you are not wasting your mental energy on what you need to accomplish next. You can put that energy and focus into actually accomplishing something. And you can use the Kaizen method of breaking it down into very small parts, using timers, whatever you need to do to just conquer the overwhelm. You can do more research on Kaizen. All right, I think that is all the questions that I had submitted. Let me look through. All right, I don't see any comments. So I think that's it. Listen, I appreciate your time, whether you're watching this live or you are watching this via replay. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Tell you a little bit about myself, what I want to accomplish, what I hope is to assist people. I want to give people real practical strategies that they can implement to cause impact and change in their lives. I've listened to a lot of people, both professionally and personally, that have all these great things and they get you very excited, but then you really don't know how to apply them. So my goal is to give you actual things that you can use and apply immediately. So I appreciate you taking the time. We're going to have this level 10 live stream every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Please join in, submit your questions. You don't have to watch live. You can watch the replay. Hopefully I'm answering your questions. And don't forget, if you're watching this and you would like to win a free copy of my best-selling book, The Secret to Winning Big, I co-authored with Brian Tracy. Hit bestseller list, 5 bestseller lists. I will ship this to you free of charge. I'll choose somebody randomly. All you have to do is tag a friend in the comment section. All right. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time.